that was held on 6th of March. And today's event is the second of our events. And we are very honored and privileged to have with us our esteemed panelists. A warm welcome to Dr. Nisha Mandiratha, Executive Director, Indo-US Science and Technology Forum. Welcome, ma'am, once again. Professor Shati Shah, Director, Center for Online Education. She's with us in person here, and it's always a great pleasure and privilege to welcome her in our midst. Professor Krishna Menon, who's Dean, School of Human Studies, Ambedkar University, Delhi. From the headquarters, we have faculty joining us since we are in hybrid mode. We have several regional centers joining us at this time. And it is really a pleasure to welcome the Regional Services Division Director, the Regional Centers Directors, the academics at the regional centers. And as you know, it's a very huge network that we have of 69 regional centers. So it is in a way a partnership that we launch our programs, and we are able to reach out to so many students because of this wide network that we have. So let me welcome all three panelists once again. I also extend a warm welcome to all the guests who have been invited from not just our school, but of course, we are not guests. We would, of course, be part of the organizing team. But we have also Professor Shubhangi here from School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, and others who would be joining us online. So let me, without further ado and without taking more of your time, I know we have lost some precious time in trying to get connected. So may I now request Dr. Nisha Mandiratha to open the proceedings with her presentation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It's real privilege for me to be here with all of you, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Himadri, Professor Sachi Shah, and all the delegates who are here. It's a real privilege and a happy day to be with all of you on this special occasion, which is being organized by IGNOU on a special theme, which is, I think, titled as Women, Green Economy, and Care Society. A very well thought of, I think I must say, a topic. As you all know that recently we have celebrated our International Women Day, and the theme assigned by United Nations for this year has been Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. And the focus is mainly to address economic disempowerment. And while the campaign of the theme is Inspire Inclusion, again and again we are talking about gender inclusion and equality in all possible diverse domain, which is leading to the development of our nation. This year's theme is again a powerful call to action that speaks volumes about the journey which is ahead of all of us. And I'm very happy that IGNOU has always been a front bearer in terms of taking these calls ahead and taking the voice ahead and taking the views of everyone who are part of this particular ball game. And this particular theme also underscores the critical importance of investment, which is not just in terms of financial resources, but it also in terms of education, opportunities, and leadership roles, which women have to be there. We have to provide to the women. It is truly essential for accelerating progress in our society, economy, and across the global community. I believe so. And today's identified theme in this very important and dignified panel is, I must say, very much line in terms of the identified focused area for the year. As I feel, or with my experience while handling a women program and climate change program before joining IUSSTF, I have looked very closely into the intersectionality of science, gender, and environmental stewardship. These are again very, I must say, like thrust areas, required thrust areas at international level. And India is doing a lot of work in terms of bringing gender into environmental sustainability aspect. Women with their unique perspective and capabilities are the real catalyst for transformative change in this domain. And some of the examples, I can share many examples here, because in climate change and also in gender, we had devised several important programs which were linking women, work, R&D, research and development and innovation also with society. Many programs we have developed, but there, some of the examples I must say that renewable energy to spearheading sustainable agricultural practices, green economy, net zero, and at the rural sector also, we have seen that women, they are very much alert and they are being educated to look into their day-to-day operations so that the emissions can be reduced and we can meet our commitment which Honorable Prime Minister Sir has given to the United Nations, UNFCCC, United Nation Framework for Climate Change Convention. India has committed net zero by 2070. So there were many programs in which the local community, in which women are the main bearers. They not only look into the innovative solutions or technological intervention we provide to them for societal empowerment, and they adopt, and it has led to the cost economic benefit also to many women. There are certain women technology parks where green economy is a major thrust area. So in nutshell, I was just trying to say that women contribute significantly to the development and implementation of environmentally conscious societies and solutions. Here, the nexus is between the users, between the scientific community, and the planners, decision makers at all levels, starting from micro to macro level. We need to reach out from national to the state to district and then to the local level if we want to ensure that we are in the right path of problem solving. Various studies consistently show that gender diversity in workforce, particularly in the green economy, enhances innovation and problem solving. Women bring diverse skills. They have got this power. Actually, God has given them this extra power as well, that they can understand the situation and then accordingly they come out with their own innovative formulas. So they have a lot of creativity and a holistic approach, which scientific and the innovative group will provide to them for the sustainable development, is leading to create more resilient and adaptive response to environmental challenges. There are many issues which are happening all across the world, and India is facing several climatic diversities. And with regard to our various physiographical regions, we are blessed to have a lot of variety in terms of our physiology, in terms of our living. It is one of the blessed country, I must say, with a lot of variety. But here the problems are also multifold. So we need to look into the involvement of many stakeholders and also a lot of solutions which are catering to the local level needs. And women play a very significant role in catering to the society. And also, I must say that empowering women in the green economy is not just an ethical solution, it's a strategic need as well. By breaking down gender barriers, we unlock a wealth of untapped talent and expertise, which certainly leads to enrich the sector with the diversity of thought that is essential for addressing complex environmental issues. The initiatives which I have been privileged to lead were many, but one specific example here I feel like sharing with all of you. One program which was for green economy, which was towards green economy solution, which was made under climate change, was Fulbright Kalam Climate Fellowships. And when we were trying to announce this call, I saw that several girls and women working in various academic institutions, they applied. And this program is one of the most prestigious program with international collaboration. And our work has not only advanced scientific understanding, but also led to enrich our collective pursuit of greener and more caring world. Now, working at IUSSTF, I can understand the potential of such kind of international collaborative programs and how we can bring more and more women into this area They are full of knowledge. They are quite experienced. Indian women are the best, I must say, in terms of taking the scientific things forward and take the maximum advantage of the opportunities provided to them. So I feel we must also look into providing opportunities to women so that they can look into the aspect which can lead to more greener society, green economy, and also for the well-being of our people. And as we navigate today's discussion, I think we are reflecting or we are more focusing or debating on the pivotal role women has to play or playing in the green economy. From developing innovative solutions to mitigating climate change challenges, women are not just contributors, but they are architects of sustainable practices. I believe that way. Their resilience, creativity, and holistic perspectives are shaping the trajectory of environmental sustainability in a very fast pace. Moreover, the concept of a caring society echoes seamlessly with women's historical role as nurturers. Today, this nurturing extends further for the well being, not only confining to their home, but also they're reaching out to the communities and further to our planet. We are responsible for cultivating a symbiotic relationship between environmental stewardship and societal care. There are many more things which I would like to say over the course of our discussion, and let us engage in a very thoughtful exchange that highlights the challenges and explores the boundless opportunities that lie ahead of us. And I am very keen to listen to my other fellow panelists and also the participants on this very important event. Thank you once again to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Nisha. Thanks a lot. Before starting the next presentation, I would request our director, Professor Thomas, to welcome Professor Shachi.
Nisha ma'am,
Nisha, we missed you in this.
we miss you on this occasion.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas, I am also missing myself to be there.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Professor Shachi is currently, as introduced, as the presently the director of the Center of Education in IGNOU itself. She is also a professor in environmental studies with the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies. Her recent book, Natural Resource Conservation, Sustainable Green Technologies for Environmental Management, is quite widely talked about. I would like Professor Shachi to start her presentation.
Thank you, Professor Himadri, Director, SOGDS, Professor Anuji Thomas, Professor Savita, Professor Himadri, Nilima Madam, Professor Shubhangi, Sumita, all my dear colleagues. It's really, I'm honored to be here with you on this very important panel discussion. And at the outset, I would like to thank Professor Himadri and Uma for considering me as an expert in this field. I'm not an expert in green economy or gender or caregiver society, but I would like to present my view among this esteemed panelists. Nisha ma'am, you are an expert in the field of green economy, and Kiran madam is also going to join us, so I'm really honored. The investing in women and accelerating the progress, which is the theme of this International Women's Day. It is really a very important theme, and the document which has been framed, UNDP has highlighted two important issues. The first one is women should not left behind, because Sustainable Development Goal or Sustainable Development Agenda, it talks about no one left behind, but in our present scenario, in our present development, the women are leaving behind, and how we can support them. The second agenda is gender budgeting, or we can say gender deferred budgeting. So these two agenda are highlighted by United Nations Development Program. When we say that how these are affecting, the first thing, like ma'am has also pointed out, climate change. The 80% of the women, when we see the population which is affected by climate related disaster or environmental disaster, 80% of the women are displaced, and they are then exposed to gender based violence. Likewise, poverty, if we say that recently pandemic which has occurred, COVID-19 pandemic or various type of war conflict, there are women who are the major sufferer of these violence, these conflict, and there are more than 75 millions of women who have been affected by these. There are number, if you see, if I talk about the number in 2030, it was expected that 325 billion women will be affected, which is women and girls, because of this climate change and nature-based calamities or various type of environmental deterioration. Poverty is one of the factor which is affecting. Once these calamities are hit or these pandemic occur, the first thing a family does is that the girl child, they stop sending the girl child to school. If there is a girl, after stopping the girl to school, they will be sending her to fetching the water, to do the household work, to do the agriculture work, the early marriage, then other early pregnancy. All these things are being faced by women only when these kind of calamities occur. So the investing in women is very important if we wanted to achieve sustainable development goal. This pandemic has completely backtracked the sustainable development goal 5, especially gender equality, because the women are the most sufferer. When we talk about the women, there are major environmental issues when we talk about. One is climate change, then environmental deterioration, biodiversity loss, and fourth is gender equality. These we are tackling in isolation. Until unless we are not tackling all these issues, these are cross-cutting issues. These are the issues which we make. Gender mainstreaming is very important when we talk about the environmental conservation or climate change or climate mitigation or adaptation or developing a resilient climate resilience infrastructure or society. Gender play a very important role. When we talk about the green economy, the three, I can say the green economy, the main objective of green economy is an environmental objective, then economic objective, and then social objective. When we talk about the green objective, it talks about the reducing the emission so that the global warming can be reduced, so that the climate should not be affected, because once the climate or the temperature increasing, the brunt is faced by the women, because there is impact in agriculture. Once the impact is in agriculture, women are dependent on agriculture and natural resources for their livelihood. When we talk about the let's say the role of women, here again the shifting from green economy, brown economy to green economy, there is not much changes for women. Women has to do the same role, whether it is a green economy or the brown economy, because in green economy also they are not have a clear cut role. They have not given a leadership role. They don't have a role as a decision maker. In, like, if I talk about India in grassroots level or in various conservation practices like Chipko Andolan, Narmada Bachao Andolan, and so many Andolan, they has been led by women. Now also, if I ask our researcher, have you heard about Ghazala Azhar? How many have of you heard about Ghazala? Heard name of Ghazala. She is the founder of Mama. Likewise, if you have heard about Madam Tamri Silvi, product they are using Mama. Mama, yes. Likewise, have you heard about the name of Tamri Silvi? She is the Director General of CSIR. She is have worked in this renewable energy. So there are leaders, but mostly the female or the ladies, they are working at grassroots level. They does not get that recognition. When we talk about agriculture field, also they work mostly 80 to 70 to 80% of food production is done by ladies, but the percentage of land holding or the ownership of land holding is only 10%. Likewise, they have very less role. So when we are talking about shifting to green economy, the how women can be empowered. Here the roles come, every sector has a role. When we talk about the role of government sector, the government sector has to make the policies, programs which are which support the green entrepreneurship, which support the innovation, which support the women that they can develop their entrepreneurship on their own. When we talk about the public sector or private sector, business sector, they have to give more opportunities, more fund, more wages, more environment, friendly environment to the women. Likewise, what is the role of academicians or the role of university? We have to design a curricula which gives the skills or which give the training to the our student regarding how to become the beacon or torch bearer of this green entrepreneurship or green economy. When we talk about environment, there are many industries. Whenever we talk about green economy, renewable energy industry, that is we can say that solar energy, bioenergy, now there is hydrogen mission, and so on and so forth. These are the energy. Again, education sector, if we talk about the STEM sector, the girls are not in urban area but in rural area. Again, the STEM education is not being provided to the girls. And when we talk about the renewable sector, here all the technology is required. So again, the women, they are not in the leadership role, they are not in a position to get the equal wages because the lack of education. So first job is that to promote the education or STEM education, where they can be they can have the knowledge of technology, where they can work in the field of green economy. Likewise, when we talk about the waste management or water management, if we see that waste management, it is informal sector and the kind of condition is being provided, it's not very good for women. When we talk about entrepreneurship, like wastewater treatment also, various STPs are there. Mostly women are working, but they are working in a very pathetic condition. So when we talk about the green entrepreneurship or when we talk about investing in women, we need to provide the kind of infrastructure, kind of finance, so that they can have their role, their innovation in a way that they can become the torch bearer of this green economy. Likewise, I will say that there are, as an skill base, now whenever we talk about the green economy, there is green growth, there is green job, there is requirement of green skill. So there are many sectors where there are green skills required. So as an education, we need to provide them skill. We need to upskill, reskill. We need to give them opportunities in various training program, whether it is vocational training. So these our national education policy also talks about the skilling, especially for women. So these are the aspects that as a university or as an educationist we can take care. So our job is to empower them, the women, to make them so that they can work together to contribute toward green economy, to environmental stewardship, and make a contribution for our country. If we talk about India, India recently in G20 presidency also, and there are many programs has been what I say is launched. Mission Life is one of the programs which talks about the awareness of our lifestyle for environment. There is there is Ujala scheme, there is Ujjwala scheme, there is Govardhan scheme, there is Prime scheme. There are many schemes which talks about the green economy, which talks about women's role. So how we can be, how we can sensitize the women so that they can contribute towards the green economy. The role of government is to invest in women, to provide them finance. But how we can be or how can make a change for the woman is the point I think we should talk about. With this, once again, I thank everyone for giving me this opportunity to present my view regarding green economy and gender. Well,
Thank you, Professor Shah. Now I would request Professor Krishna Menon.
She has joined.
She has joined, no? Professor Krishna Menon to start speaking. She is at present a professor in Gender Studies, School of Human Studies, Ambedkar University, Delhi. Her recent book, The Gendered Body in South Asia Negotiation Resistance Struggle, has been quite widely talked about and quite popular among the people who are working on gendered bodies. Yes, Professor Krishna Menon.
We have to cleanse.
Okay.
What's the time now? She's in a meeting.
She's in a meeting. So should we wait?
Wait, or maybe we should just
Just start the discussion.
Discussion.
If anybody wants to
Yes.
comment on these papers, because towards the end, I will provide
Okay.
my comments.
Anyone wants to
If you
ask any
ask
questions,
or
you can ask.
Make a comment also.
Yes, sure.
I think Professor Shachi has made a very important point in the sense that when we talk about
Little louder. She can't hear.
no, we talk,
Can't get, you
don't
can.
participate in it. We- all these are ideas and decisions that are taken on their behalf rather than along with them. So I think that's a very, very important point. I mean, what is the extent to which we actually foster participation of women in these kinds of ideas? So I think the point is very well taken.
Yeah, Krishna is there.
Krishna is there.
Krishna is already there.
Sorry
Hello,
about-
Krishna.
As you can see, I'm traveling and the Wi-Fi inside the tunnel is not very good. But, it's not humanly possible to deny an invitation from my dear friends, Professor Savita Singh and Himadri. Savita's persuasive skills are beyond match. So here I am, and the theme of the panel really does interest me. And it's really an honor to be with such a distinguished speaker and to follow her act. So I'm not an expert, I'm just beginning to get interested. And my interest in this area is actually coming neither, so it's not, I heard you speak about the green economy and the concerns of the brown economy. I'll shift the trajectory a bit and talk about the blue economy really. And my concern really comes from my brush with, increasingly it's more than a brush, with the new interdisciplinary area of blue humanities and the importance of waters in our thinking. And as a teacher of gender studies, how this has a resonance for the way in which we teach and think about gender. I would like to make that connection as well. So I'll speak a little bit about this area called blue humanities and the key words that I have found very fascinating from this area. How does it intersect with my location as a teacher of gender studies? And finally, as a person located in South Asia, what is the importance about water and water bodies from a slightly different perspective than what we heard just now. But as I said in the beginning, the disclaimer is that I'm really not an expert. I'm just beginning to think about this. So when I started thinking about blue humanities and I thought about the place of water in my life, my everyday interaction with water is via the taps or with the bottle that I carry to work. And then it struck me one day that every day I actually drive past a big water body of this city called the Yamuna River. But unfortunately, the Yamuna is not in a shape to be seen and enjoyed and be inspired by, where I go to work in a place near Kashmiri Gate. So I drive past the Yamuna. It is notionally there, but it is not there. And that really set me thinking about what we have done to our water bodies. And it is, and as a subcontinent, we are located in the crucible of the monsoon system, which practically controls the climatic conditions of this whole planet itself. And as we speak today, we also are mindful of the acute water shortage that the city of Bangalore, for instance, Silicon Valley, as advanced as America and all of that. But people are there buying water, using Russian water. So it is very clear that the time has come to bring brown, green, and all the colors of the rainbow really into our conversation as scholars of gender studies. I turned to the work of Cecilia Chen and others to understand what blue humanities would entail, what kind of reconceptualization would it ask for. And I was struck by the usage that they made repeatedly in their work, that we should stop thinking about water, rather we should think with water. What does it mean to say when we decide to think with water? We in a way understand the way water is. Water flows. Water does not have, it's fluid. It is shape changing. All the things that we say in gender studies classrooms, actually, the fluidity of gender, the fact that these are not finite categories, all of these actually are very close to the basic principles of blue humanities itself. So today we know that environmental humanities, rock humanities, blue humanities, blue legalities, these are the new interdisciplinary and cutting edge areas where we as gender studies scholars must make our presence felt. Because all of these ways of thinking about the world are gendered, and they have gendered consequences. So it's very important that we make our presence felt in these areas. Stephen Mentz's work, An Introduction to Blue Humanities, is what became the kind of a, like a guide for me to understand. He makes some very interesting points. I had never thought about it like this. He actually says that there is a fundamental difference when you think about water, and that is the distinction between salt water and fresh water. Human life is dependent upon fresh water, but the bulk of the water on this planet is actually salt water. Therefore, there is a premium that is automatically attached to this small thing called fresh water. Fresh water, which is needed for agricultural societies and for human civilization as we know it. And this water is not something which is readily and within quotes naturally available. As scholars of gender studies, we again understand this, that it is a politically managed entity, water scarcity, wars over water, rioting over water, water being sold. The richer you are, the better the quality of the water that you drink. The city of Chennai through the 1980s, for instance, grappled with acute water shortage. And the brunt of this shortage was actually, as the speaker earlier said, was felt by women. There is a wonderful Tamil film called Tanir Tanir. Tamil means water. So the film was about what it does to Tamil society when it begins to grapple with the race for water, the competition for water. Therefore, we cannot overlook the fact that water and access to water is unequally divided. The relationship with water is not natural, but it is socio-culturally determined. And I have a few more things to say about this later. Water leads us to, or thinking with water actually helps us deterritorialize our conception about politics. So the term deterritorialization, of course, I take from Dulles and Guattari. But here, when I use the word deterritorialization, I'm saying that it actually helps us to think about life, society, culture, politics from a location which is not terra firma, which is not land, but which is, for want of a better word, which is watery. What does life look like when it is looked at from this deterritorialized perspective? And there is a 7-pack kit that Stephen Menz develops, and I'll just share it very quickly for us to understand what it means. The first word, that he contributes to this vocabulary is to use current instead of field. So, for instance, when you say my field of studies, or in this field called gender studies, or in the historical field, historian's field, he says try substituting this word for the word current, which really comes from water bodies. The word current is not fixed like the word field. When you say current, it's an impulse, right? It moves, it's flexible, it's not sort of, as I said, it's not terra firma. The second word is to use water instead of the word ground. So, for example, so what he says is our metaphors should not be grounded, but they should not be resting on ground, but they should be in an aqueous environment. The way we think about culture, the way we think about politics, the way we think about society, economy, there should be, and water teaches us to think in an open, fluid, aqueous way. The third word he says is to think of flow instead of thinking of the word progress. Progress is very unilinear. You start from here and you reach there. Whereas when you say when you use the word flow instead of the word progress, immediately social sciences, economics, sociology will have a different kind of resonance. The next word he suggests is to use the word ship instead of the word state. State again is firm. So, think of oceanic histories instead of thinking of nation states. Think of how oceans were the determining feature. Control over oceans, access to oceans, travel over oceans, how this became the harbinger of many important political changes. Colonialism itself, if you sort of revisit colonialism, we would see that oceans actually had a very important role to play. But the way we study it, the way we teach it, the way we think about it, we think about it from the perspective of land, because I'm not saying that's wrong. We are most familiar with being located within land. But the reality is that we need waters as much as we need land. The next word that he suggests is seascape instead of landscape. These are small changes that he's asking us to experiment with. Distortion instead of clarity, he says. Clarity is something that you can have on land, but in the waters, imagine you are sailing on the Atlantic Ocean. You are always going to get slightly distorted images because of the water. Here, distortion is not being used in a negative sense, but water plays the role of always telling you that there is something else other than what you can see with your eye. That in that sense, distortion. And that's a very valuable lesson for us in social sciences. Horizon spelled with a capital H rather than with a small h, where he says that all the sites of transition should come together. Land, water, mountains, ocean, currents, a place from where new things become visible and not really the end of anything. Usually we think of it as an end of everything, but he thinks of it as a place from where new beginnings can happen. So what Blue Humanities scholarship is actually telling us as teachers of feminist theory and politics is to incorporate this vision into our courses, our understanding of what our own discipline is like, and argue with water rather than think about water. Thinking about water is still very anthropocentric, where water is there and then we think about it. But if you look at the work of somebody like Robin Wall Kimmerer, I'm sure many of you have already read her. She is this fabulous indigenous botanist and professor of environmental science, woman of indigenous origin in America. She has argued, and her work is really, really fascinating, because she argues for personhood and for agency to be bestowed on ecological processes, animals, and other living entities. From her perspective, water has agency. Water has personhood. It may sound really far-fetched from the Enlightenment point of view. We know who has rationality. Remember, everybody knows. I think, therefore, I am famous. However, this is really Blue Humanities is questioning that understanding of the Enlightenment, understanding of personhood, agency, and rationality. And I think it's a great challenge to Enlightenment social sciences itself. Environmental campaigns in India and elsewhere have shown us that access to water is a huge question. Uh, those of us, construction of dams, use of rivers, use of water in a pond, use of wells, all of these are actually contentious and socially determined challenges. I recall in Kerala in the early 2000s, the very famous Plachimada Coca-Cola factory struggles. The workers there and the people of Plachimada village decided to protest against the setting up of the Coca-Cola factory because the factory was going to use the fresh water of those villages and pour out the the dirty water, the used industrial water into the water bodies. And finally, of course, because of the struggles of the people of Plachimada, the factory was closed down. So I invoke the old feminist slogan of personal is political, and I give it a new twist by saying personal is environmentally political. All of us have the decision-making power to decide in our own small ways. Of course, I realize that that's not enough. In our own small ways to think and live with water. For instance, not hose down the car, take a bucket bath instead of a shower, etc., etc. These are very easy to do things. Now, living in South Asia, I think we have to be extremely mindful about water. And I found Sunil Amrit's work, Unruly Waters, extremely, extremely powerful. When he says unruly waters, what he really means is that the rivers of South Asia, and for feminists, especially transnational feminists, I think this is a great contribution to our thinking. His argument is that, look, rivers of South Asia are flowing without any respect to, they are not obedient when it comes to nation state boundaries. They are unruly. And these rivers, deploying these rivers for mega industrial projects, not acknowledging the crisscrossing nature of these rivers could result in deep environmental degradation and disastrous consequences, actually. Therefore, from a South Asianist perspective, it's very important for us to think of Ravi, Chenab, Jhelum, Indus, Brahmaputra as our rivers and not as rivers that are, sort of barred off by national boundaries. In this context, I want to alert all of us to the fact that in the coming decade, 400 big dams across the mighty rivers of South Asia are being proposed. 400 is not a small number. And when you build 400 big dams, what you're essentially doing is controlling and reconfiguring the flows of the rivers. And as I said earlier, these rivers are not obedient and do not accept nation state boundaries. What might be the environmental consequences and who will tackle it is an extremely important question for us to think about. Given the advances in hydraulic engineering, all kinds of dam constructions are possible today. But who controls these waters? And I submit from a truly feminist point of view, the control of the waters of South Asia should be participatory in nature. We should not allow dictatorial and autocratic regimes to have full control over the management of these waters because it's going to result in environmental catastrophes if we allow this to happen. Thinking about river waters or waters in South Asia, there is no escape from thinking about how caste as a category intersects with water. The most important Mahad, movement some people call it rebellion. It's a milestone in the history of Dalit mobilization, and that began over the question of water. It is a foundational struggle, really. The fact is that in our country, at least, access to water is determined across caste, class, gender, and many other lines. So there is no way in South Asia, specifically in India, that we can think about caste without think about water without thinking about these. And last but not the least, I would like to talk about militarization and its impact. Militarization in South Asia and its impact on water. Water, if we think with water, it is possible actually, because water has the capacity to combine and connect. I was in Guwahati the other day and I saw the mighty Brahmaputra. It's really awe-inspiring to know that it has flown to Guwahati from China and it's going further east. This flow of the rivers, if as scholars of gender studies, we can actually tap on this idea of water's fluidity, perhaps greater solidarities in South Asian politics, feminist politics, can be thought about. Under militarization, what we are experiencing today in the South Asian region, there is always a threat of these water facilities becoming a pawn in the political game of South Asia. And that is something that we must resist. As feminist groups working for transnational solidarity, it is something that we must resist. Academically, the most exciting thing that I came across while thinking about blue humanities is something called hydrofeminism. Honestly, I did not even know of the existence of something called hydrofeminism. This is about solidarity across watery selves, across bodies of water. So it doesn't matter if the Pacific Ocean separates Japan from the US, but you can think of commonalities and you can think of watery interactions and circulations. So I'm going to end by appealing to you to imagine something. Just imagine that the water you drink, you share that water with someone on the other side of the world, you know? The waters, our waters evaporate, become clouds, travel elsewhere, bring rain to some other people. Then that water comes back. Remember, water is in circulation always. This introduces a whole new way of seeing and understanding our own interconnectedness. Water is truly transnational, trans-species, and transcorporeal. Thank you, Himadri and Savita. I'm sorry if the quality of the audio was not good, but I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor Krishna. Thanks a lot. Without wasting time, I would request Professor Savita Singh to start the discussion with her viewpoint.
Thank you very much, Professor Himadri Roy, Professor Anuja Thomas, who is present director of the school, friends and experts who joined us, particularly Krishna, because you considered to come after my persuasion. So 3 extraordinary presentations have been made this morning in our school. The first presentation by Nisha Nandiratta was good in the sense that she reminded us there is a symbiotic relationship between nature and women. And there are various theories about this symbiotic relationship. I mean, for example, one is what is known as essentialist view, which Vandana Shiva supposed to be sort of advocating in our part of the world. But you will find this particular kind of construction taking place from 1970s onwards, even in the Western feminist discourse. So the initial phase in which it was fascinating to find out that we share our nature not with men, but with the forest. And that was a kind of an area that opened up so much for women that, in fact, a newer non-feminist views of nature also began to emerge, which is known today as green economy, by the way, green thinking. And deep ecology is one of those theories, discourses, where it was probably, I'm not critical of them, I think they contributed to our own discourse, but this fact that there is more to know about nature than we know or we claim to know on the basis of our own enlightenment framework of modernity, right? Before modernity, there was not a problem. This was not a problem. People lived very happily with all kinds of animals, including bisons. If you look at the history of dead Indians, the indigenous people in these United States, and all other forms of animals cohabited. I mean, this cohabitation was something that was not a strain on living, right? So if this thing has come up that there is some sort of essential relationship between women and gender, is to be I think allowed, instead of going by a discourse that I call tyranny of anti-essentialism, which is most reflected in postmodern theories in the American society at the moment. I think we need to sort of find that shift towards, I would say, materialist understanding of things. So that was wonderful reminder that indeed there is a relationship. The second point which follows from there is that it is precisely because of this acquired nature, if we want to sort of fight the essentialist argument, acquired nature, by over and again functioning in that, or forced to function in that area, in that sector of economy, domestic economy, nurturing, reproducing, this and that. The government, all over the world, the governments basically buy this concept, and they are making policies and prioritizing women in this particular green area. Because they will not have men, though I'm not discarding their contribution, but they will not relinquish the sphere in which they work. That is the productivist economy. Capitalist economy is directly run by this productivist notion of economy in which most men are engaged. So it is very difficult to shift them from here to that economy, which is still in the process of formation. So the low wage, low income, low value labor is still needed in this economy, and we should be aware as ecofeminists that this is the kind of politics that is also involved in this. So I would say that I will not take government's consciousness that women should be part of the green economy because of their own benevolence. It's because of the historical evolution of women as excellent agents of green economy that they can rely on, and women are happy to sort of play that role. Sachi's contribution, Sachi's presentation was a happy one because she's from IGNOU, and we are very happy to have a colleague come and participate in our conversation. And she's also done a book on green technology. So she may not have that philosophical thing, but she actually could point out that there is a notion of emergence of Earth as mother. It is not only emergence, but sort of acceptance. But you know that this notion of Earth as mother, as Gaia, is as old as 6th century BC Greek philosophy, where Gaia is supposed to be the daughter of chaos. So it was very starkly put forward to the people, because you know that Greek part of the world, the Mediterranean part and all that, is all related to water. See, it's like it's a bank of the ocean. So they had this understanding that water is very, very important, and Mother Earth knows well to manage this, the territory and the water, both. So, and if you challenge this view, then the consequence is chaos. So the stark difference between Gaia and chaos was very much realized by them. Later on, of course, you know, in literature, if I go, Krishna, since you're listening, there's an entire field of blue humanities now. And the water-bound texts like Odyssey, Moby Dick, all these texts are now considered as very important. Man and the Sea, all right? All those things dealing with the creatures below the water and man, how they interact, how much violence we have imposed on the creatures living underwater, just because they're not part of the territory. So the politics of territory and politics of ocean are very different kinds of politics. And today, if we want to open up our imagination as to where to go, to which space, for more democratization of our lives, for more betterment of our well-being in terms of economy. I know, you know that the economy today has reached a point where it simply cannot promise equality to all its participants. It is beyond this capitalist economy to bring in equality, which was a promised thing by this particular mode of production. So then what is to be done? So I think new imagination, new things are opening up. And Krishna, you were brilliant when you began to say how the metaphors have to change. Metaphors that we use. It's like changing the symbolic order. The French feminists have been asking, let us change the meaning of words that we use, metaphors that we use, and that will produce a new world, new symbolic order within which it will be possible for men and other patriarchal participants in this meaningful world to understand that words can have more than one meaning. So multiplicity opens up a new space for women to create a better world, at least. So it is not through economy and revolution, Marxist concept, that you will change the world. It is through shifting our consciousness from a territorial understanding to an oceanic understanding. And you were very right in saying, Krishna, that Stephen Menz, who wrote this book called What is Blue Humanities, for example. And in that text, he slowly and gradually brought us to a place where Krishna has also taken us to see how if we change the primary category of our thinking and our life, which is territory, which is solid, we will be able to see a lot more because the reality becomes liquid. Zygmunt Bauman wrote a book called Liquid Modernity. And from that time onwards, modernity, the Enlightenment framework of modernity, came under severe philosophical challenge. Apart from Frankfurt School, Eros and Civilization, all those, they broke the Enlightenment framework. But this area, blue humanity, blue economy, this is going to truly transform in a meaningful way, in a real way, our world in which we are living today. And who else will do it? Those who will be interested in imagining new worlds, women, because they are under real threat. And not only women today are conjoined symbiotically with nature. So nature and women together, they are thinking and bringing out newer ways of thinking, newer ways of imagining and living. The blue economy, the blue humanity, the blue social science, the shift it requires, I think, will be given leadership by gender studies. This is also my firm belief. It might be a prejudice, but I do think that we are most equipped because we have been imagining parallelly within the system of this brown economy for a very long time. And now the opportunity has come because it has become impossible now to live a peaceful life on this earth without opening up the ocean, the water. Dilip Menon's work, for example, extraordinary work that is done, and he's also defined this, that we have to shift from territory to water in social sciences. I would say we have already done it in gender sciences, gender studies, and we should have to go forward with it. And we should enjoy our environment more, even though it is in a catastrophic state. I mean, the fact that women can feel water differently on their bodies, they can feel wind differently when they pass through it. These experiences need to be narrated to create a kind of a body of imaginative gender discourse, which is going on at the moment, and really take a lead. So this is where I'll stop. And I think we have had a wonderful morning session in which we spoke about concepts which are very new, which are very good for our scholars who have joined us, because it's a matter of imagination today. Imagination is not something that is a property of only rational beings. Imagination is property also of dogs and cats and serpents, and think of any creature, they all have imagination. It was our own anthropocentric prejudice that we thought that animals do not think, that they do not imagine. They do. If you look at their pattern of migration, if you look at how they have survival strategies, these are not pretty much imagination and practice-based behavior that they indulge in. They are no less smarter than us. We think that we are smart, but I think we are not smart because we have brought ourselves to the brink of our extinction. So thank you very much. Again, all three of you, it was so nice. And I hope that we'll have this kind of conversation more and more in the School of Gender and Human Studies.
One point I would like to add here after listening to all of you, variety of thoughts, variety of ideas and information has been shared in this panel, which was really wonderful from social perspective to the beginning, from the ecology perspective, and now to green and blue ocean. So only one information I also would like to share, that these aspects are being thought of under ST&I, and a new policy is being coming up, which is TIP policy, Science, Technology, Innovation Policy. And for the first time, actually, after our independence, there are 5 policies have come up so far under science and technology, and women empowerment has been given a strong component. It has been a strong component in that. First time the women empowerment in science technology came up in the year 1983 or so. Until now, 4 or 5 rounds of policy have come up. But in the current policy, which is in draft form right now, a separate chapter on gender equity has been included. And various sectors with regard to giving them more and more opportunities, utilizing their knowledge, bringing them into the problem solving, and also providing them leadership role, which is again required in all sphere of life. So all these components have been added into it. So I just want to tell, I want to tell in a short form that government is realizing the power of women, and also to bring them at various levels at the stronger as a strong leader as well, so that they are not only contributing themselves to the whole ecosystem, but also they are into the planning perspective as well. They are the best planner, so government has taken up that lead through their policies ventures, and I'm very hopeful that with the idea of everyone, all stakeholders, it should be a united and holistic move. It should be a coordinated move. Then only, because outreach component we have to strengthen. Earlier, like in one of the talk, the mention was of providing them capacity building training. So we have to make our women more stronger and also provide them lot many avenues and outreach component, so that we share among ourselves the kind of initiatives, the kind of thought as we are doing today. It should be happening more and more frequently, so that our voices are shared among ourselves, and then it can reach to the right place. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nisha. Now I would open the house for discussion. If anyone has any comments, observations, questions, please go ahead.
I'd just like to just mention about it. Like about water and the economy. We see from the civilizations, all the civilizations due across the water body. So that the importance we are realizing from long back, and we are not able to put that answer into actual words, I would say.
Yeah. Because we started with a framework in which the totality of beings in this world were divided between objects and subjects. Human beings were the only ones who considered themselves. बाकी सभी लोग object थे. So this objectification still desensitized them. As Krishna pointed out very nicely, that thinking with water is one thing and thinking about water is another thing. There are two frameworks at the moment operating. Nothing the gender studies should go with the concept of with, not fiction about. That is why it has happened. Earlier, people had more knowledge about other things of the world. We actually suffered a loss of knowledge. We know little, far little than we knew, say, even 300 years ago. The knowledge has been simply disappearing as species have been possessed. And we have no remorse that so many species
I think this is the fallouts of rationality. Yes. We have not been able to think in a new, with new imagination. Yeah.
Any other? Yes.
With permission.
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. I just want to share with you all what we have been discussing. That we are looking at how green economy will change the lives of women. And well, we are still speculating that it will change. But here I would like to give you some glimpses of change which has happened, and we have been able to talk about it and document it. It is a research that we are carrying on along with my colleague Sunita, and basically in the field, both of us are working, but we have another person, Linda Lane, who is a team with us, and we have been talking about uh, the use of green technology. And this green technology, Sunita, with your permission, can I talk about it? So, and you will have to back me up. So, what makes woman smile? Well, I got you back quickly. Anyway, jokes apart. So, what we thought that when I went to the field for the first time, and I found something very interesting which we have all heard about, that women from the eastern states are very, they're more empowered than the women of north, per se, with whom I had most of the interaction in the time I went to the field. And what brought us there was an experiment which was done with women in villages of a few select districts of Odisha. I had gone for a very different this thing, because my area of research is work-life balance. So I thought, let me go and see what the rural women, feel about work-life balance. So, but there we found that it was very interesting that the experiment of using innovative stove, which was based on not on biofuel but on solar energy. So that caught my attention, and then I discussed with her, and she also said that a lot of work has been done in this area by various agencies. And there was one sponsored project which has offered these improved stoves to the women. And then we thought, let's take it up ahead from here. And being from gender studies and this thing, so empowerment हमारा एक dream है. So मैं सोचा, okay, let's discuss it from the grassroots and from the Indian understanding of empowerment, and not the Western notions which we all have been reading, memorizing, talking about. Of course, we had to depend on those frameworks only, because they were the most readily and most acceptable frameworks. So we thought, okay, so easiest was कि, okay, Nella Kabir को देखते हैं, and I'll not talk much about it, because Sunita को तो मेरे को बात करेगी. Capability approach, and also change about, and then we thought कि we'll also look into change into gender relations, because that also leads to empowerment indirectly. So then we found that a cooking stove was given to women on subsidized rate. And along with that, they were given two other, kind of facilities. One was the plug point where they can charge or the household can charge the mobiles. And the condition of electricity, power outage and all that. So that was a much relief that it was better. And then some street lights. So all this package was given to women, and then they were also incentivized that for using this, you will be given some compensation or something. So it made us very curious and so this story is based on a very small sample in a small area, and also very much localized. But they gave us the idea that if this can happen at grassroots in such remote villages, this has a potential of being transformed into a larger kind of understanding, especially in developing countries. So then we started asking our participants that what are the changes you have seen in yourself, in your household relationships and your interaction with the outside community by using this alternative source of energy. So I'll start with, say, change in generation. Say that, yes, my husband also is now interested in cooking. So at times he also takes up cooking. I'll give you one anecdote example so that it doesn't flip it. So that was very interesting because men were never coming close to the hearth, chulha, chulhe pe baat to aana nahi hai, धुआं आना hai. Now it's become less laborious and fun. Also that, they can light it immediately and start cooking. So this was what interesting finding. Then we also found that their cooking skills have also evolved and increased because they have another way of another appliance for cooking, and it was faster also, and they could combine it with the traditional hearth, that they can use both the things together. So that also, improved their culinary skills and also their, the platter. When my son-in-law, the Marji, save their time. Yeah, save the time. That was another thing. But they're not bothered about the time for now. They are just thinking, हमने अपने दामाद की खातिरदारी कैसे करी. So along with the other traditions, they could immediately come up with new, kind of additional things. And then they also, they had more time and they were relieved of the cooking, and the cooking also became easy in different seasons because of the long, hours, long period, monsoon period in Odisha. So they could, use the cook stove within their room, which was very suffocating earlier for the whole family. They also thought that it will, they can also come up into other economic activities directly related to it, that they started having a chai ki dukaan. Since it is easy, we can sell tea and all those things. So, and then also the fetching of firewood was a big problem in those areas, especially because of the new laws that they cannot enter into forest. So collecting firewood was a very tedious job, and it also led to a lot of confrontation with the government department, especially the forest division. So that also came down because this stove uses any byproduct of agriculture which was available to them readily, and they don't have to go all the way to that. Like mango kernels could be used to light up the stove. So that is how we found that although they were not making earth-shattering decisions, but they were making small decisions within their households, and they were also heard within the larger community because now they had a voice, and that also gave them a kind of a collective identity of using or being together in this venture of use of alternative source of energy. So we found that it was very interesting and also enlightening for us to know that even small interventions can bring change in everyday life experiences of not only women but of other members of the family, of the household. And we hope, and we have been talking about that by making such small observations and interventions, there will be a time where women will be equal partners in making this world greener. Thank you, and acknowledgements, Dr. Sunita Dhal and Dr. Linda Lane.
No other observations from students, researchers? Okay, now coming to the last part of the program, it is like the certificate of your participation in the research colloquium with a memento from the school. We'll start with, we'll request Professor Anuja Thomas to give away to Nalin. Now you can come over here.
If you go that side, everybody
You
can.
come this.
Acha.
Can someone can click?
Yeah.
Come here so that this thing comes.
No, you get that. Yes,
Okay, now I request Professor Savita Singh and Ikshita Mitra. Now I request Nilima and Jalam.
Please. A special applause for him because men are in minority in this. So we have to cheer them up. Congratulations once again to all of you. And this is also yours. No, I won't mind having one for myself also, because these will be fond memories for me very soon.
Thank you.
Never think so.
Now I request
This occasion.
Smita and Parthi
Come.
with Anuketa Chal.
God. No, I will announce.
Yes.
Madhu, you go. You go.
नहीं,
क्यों नहीं?
I'm the host.
Host?
No. I would request Dr. Sunita with Meenakshi.
I'm also the host. Take the photo of everybody is have.
Thank you. नहीं host हो तो तुम professor.
हाँ.
Savita,
Please.
Kalyan. Anyone left out? No.
I don't.
All the presenters have got over here, whoever is present.
It's not mine, it's Kalyan's.
Okay. So you know what is a surprise?
Thank you, all of you. Now, the last but not the least, the vote of thanks, Dr. G. Uma. Yes.
Thank you, Professor
Lift
Himadri.
out.
Okay, thank you, Professor Himadri. Thank you, school, for providing this opportunity to propose vote of thanks. On behalf of School of Gender and Development Studies, I take this opportunity to propose a formal vote of thanks. I convey my gratitude to our VC, Professor Nageshwar Rao, and our PVC, Professor Kukreti ma'am, always supporting our school and always guiding us. And whenever we propose any new theme or any activities, they immediately accept our proposal and they support us. Thank you so much to both of them from the school on behalf of myself, on behalf of school. I also express my gratitude to the school, the speakers, Dr. Nisha ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and immediately accepting our invitation and gave this speech, as well as on behalf of school, we would like to express our gratitude to Professor Krishna Menon also and Professor Sachisha, both of them. They agreed to speak and gave a considerable time, and both of us always support our school. And whenever we invite them, immediately they agree in midst of so many, what do you say there, trajectories. We propose our heartfelt thanks to both of them. A special thank goes to our director, SOGDS, Professor Anuj Thomas, for her support. Thanks to Professor Savita Singh for moderating this discussion. Thanks to our faculty members of SOGDS and coordinator of our panel discussion, Professor Himadri Rai, and and our heartfelt thanks to our regional centers for joining the discussion and supporting our school always. And thanks to horticulture cell also again. And I propose my like I also thank SOGDS staff for their cooperation and support. A special thanks to go to students, research scholars, and also entire IGNOU community for always supporting us for all our endeavors. Thank you.
Okay,
so
I
much.
would like to add over here, in
we will-
YouTube, almost 4,352 people are watching us.
Wow.
COE.
And last but not least, we would like to thank our COE for
Center for Online.
Center for Online Education and Director again, Professor Sachi ma'am, for supporting us,
Ashutosh.
and Mr. Asudos for supporting us and creating a link for this program, as well as like they arranged the live
Like,
for this program in YouTube also. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Nisha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we log it?
Yeah, we can log out.
Take it. Sure.